What's up, everybody? Welcome to Heads Up Play. We're on episode 25. We about to get into it, but before we get into it, Sam, what's better than 24?
Ooh, and if I
Ah! Let's get into it, guys. This, your co-host, Cowboy. We got the Sweaty Boy. We are going to start off today. We got a little bit of SEC hoops, man. So, how you feeling about this week's of SEC hoops, man? I mean, the season's coming down close to the end, man. It's almost close to Selection Sunday, the best time of the year, in my opinion. It's up there.
this week in SEC hoops, it's a pivotal pi- how do you say that word? Pivot
It's a
pivotal?
pivotal. It's a pivotal week.
Pivotal.
Yeah,
It is not a pivotable week, but a pivotal week
it's a pivot. It's a
for basically all contending teams,
yes,
basically. If you are an Alabama, a Tennessee, an Auburn, a Florida, you
especially
need to try
Tennessee.
a Kentucky. You need to try your hardest to win every game going forward because I mean, for Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn, I mean, first place in the SEC is still totally up for grabs right now. Um, I mean, Alabama losing to Kentucky, and let's talk about that real quickly. Some of the games over, well, really that game in particular. Um, how do you think that game went? You and I both discussed it previous episode. We were expecting Kentucky to win. I do not think either one of us expected that. However,
It is always tough to play at Kentucky, in my opinion. We win I'm not trying to sound like a sour Alabama fan. Our best defender wasn't playing. Latrell Wrightsell Jr. He had a head injury in practice the week of on Monday. Actually, had a concussion. Was out the whole week. Didn't play against Florida. Thank God. I don't know how we pulled that one out. But went into Kentucky. Definitely needed him for his shooting. I mean, he's perfect 3 and D. It was a tough game. It was around when it was 28-28 is when the lid came off pretty bad. It was upsetting. I mean, we beat Kentucky the last I say the last 3 years. Like we've kind of dominated Kentucky, but I would officially say I do think Kentucky is back. I mean they own this state of Alabama right now, which is good. I mean, considering that it's the number 11 and number 14 team in today's AP ranking, you beat both of those teams. I would understand if I'm a Kentucky fan. I beat both of these teams and I'm still ranked behind them.
yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think that comes down to record in the SEC, I guess. But I am in total agreement. Alabama was just dominated. It was an embarrassing performance
Yes.
on defense. Nate Oates came out after the game and kind of said, "Look, all question marks regarding this team and the defense have been answered,
Yeah.
and we just do not play defense. It has come down to the fact that we just do not play defense, which is totally against Nate Oates' historical style. He really is essentially a defensive coach, and this has really gone against everything he stands for this season. Been an incredible offense, but we've mentioned it before with Alabama. This team is like the LSU football team of 2023, an offense that is more than capable of winning a national championship, but you need at least a somewhat subpar defense. And Alabama had been playing better defense lately, but not in that game by any means.
Well,
But Alabama's
Alabama don't want to admit it. We're very much. I'm looking at it right now. We're very much like Auburn. There's always the stereotype. Auburn can't win on the road. Auburn's 4-4 on the road. Guess what? Alabama's 4-4 on the
yeah.
road. Guess what? Auburn's 13-1 at home. Alabama's 13-1 at home. I'm just telling you. I mean, neutral games. Auburn's 4-1, but Bama's 2-3. But Bama, I mean, we have a hard time winning on the road. I mean, we lost at Tennessee, lost at Kentucky, almost lost at Georgia.
And now you've got a tough test going on the road to Ole Miss. I mean, that's no cakewalk by any means. This is a tough slate ahead for Alabama, which we'll get into that Wednesday night game. But I guess we can go ahead and start since we're on the topic of
Before we get
Kentucky.
started, I would like to tell you that I do have the SEC ranking, not rankings, or like standings in front of me right now. Dead last and 0-14, you have Missouri. Next to them, you have Vandy 2-12, Arkansas with a disappointing 5-9. So is Georgia 5-9, LSU 6-8. And this is when everything kinda piles up. LSU 6-8, Texas A&M 6-8, Ole Miss with a disgusting 6-8. Then you get into the winning records. You have Mississippi State 8-6, Kentucky 9-5, tied with Florida with 9-5 for that 5th spot. And then you have Auburn and South Carolina tied in the 3rd spot with 10-4. And then you have Bama and Tennessee tied for number 1 with 11-3. So really the game Saturday, if both Tennessee beats Auburn and Alabama beats Ole Miss, Saturday will kind of determine who will win outright the SEC.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, like I said, it's a pivotal week. I mean, this is the week that you have to be on everything.
This definitely seems like the biggest SEC basketball week.
Yeah, and it sucks because tonight we're recording on a Monday here. This is so far in 2024 one of the slowest sports nights I've had all year.
It
Uh,
Monday nights are I mean, and since really NFL has left, Monday nights have been tough.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, right now going on, there's nothing. I don't know. Maybe there's hockey going on. I don't know. But all right. So tomorrow night, however, starting off 6 o'clock, Kentucky, Mississippi State, at on the road in Starkville. I think Kentucky will have this one.
I agree. I think Kentucky's gonna blow Mississippi State out of the waters. Mississippi State needs the win. It'll be a if Mississippi State can get this win over Kentucky at home, I definitely think this will help Mississippi State's case to get into the tournament. They're one of the teams on the bubble right now. Well, let me look up what Joe Lunardi has them, but I want to say Mississippi State might be in, but I mean, this will be a crucial win for Mississippi State. But you know what? Give me the Wildcats. The Wildcats is hot. Man, I think this is the
Yeah,
best Calipari's team that he's had in a while.
no, I agree, and they're riding really, really hot, coming off of such a dominant performance against a very good Alabama team. If you can win against Mississippi State, then go into your 3 games in March, you got Arkansas at home. That's an easy win. You got Vandy at home. That's an easy win. And if you're riding hot enough, you might go into the final game of the season, of the regular season, on the road to Tennessee, which will be an incredible matchup. If you're riding hot enough, that might be a win. Kentucky's looking really, really good right now.
Right now,
Um,
Mississippi State is a 9 seed on Joe Lunardi's bracketology. A 9 seed.
Not bad, not bad. But I'm right there with you. Give me the Wildcats for this game. I just think they're too hot. They're going to be Mississippi State's going to be catching a buzzsaw, basically. Other game of the night: Georgia and LSU, two teams. Um, not really looking for too much, but solid SEC game, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, LSU pulled a shocker last week, beat Ole Miss. I know Ole
Hmm.
Miss, they beat Kentucky at home, but give me give me LSU again. I think they're gonna beat Georgia. I told you, I think Georgia's season's over.
Yeah, we've talked about it so many times after their comeback loss against Alabama. They just haven't rebounded. I mean, it was such a great looking team at the first half of the season, and they have not bounced back from that loss in particular. I have LSU as well. Little home court advantage. LSU favored by 3.5 points, so I'm gonna roll with that.
We got one
Next
more
game,
game. We got one more game for Wednesday night. And
Vandy and Arkansas.
let me
What
ask
a
you
great match.
if Eric Musselman loses that game because it's at Arkansas, correct?
It is.
If
Arkansas
Musselman
favored minus 9.5.
if Arkansas loses that game, is Musselman is that just kinda confirmed, like, he might be done?
I don't
It
know
it's
for
not that
sure.
the fact that they're gonna fire him, I look at it as the fact he's not really focused, honed in, like, he's just ready to get
Yeah,
out.
this is a season that is really going to hurt Arkansas, I think, in recruiting. Because look, Bud Walton Arena it gets sold out like crazy. The fans go crazy. Really is a fantastic environment. I love when Arkansas is good at any sport. That's why they're great at baseball right now. So I'm hoping they remain good at something. They've had some really
Yeah,
bad luck with sports, you know. Um, so I mean, it's a great fan base. But yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily. It's going to be hard to recover from this season, especially if he loses a game to a team like Vandy
at
at
home.
home.
But, give me Arkansas, I think Arkansas comes back, and I think they, get the win.
I am right there with you. Rolling on to Wednesday night. Um, First game of the day. It is Missouri on the road to Florida. This Florida team, man, they are not so much a scrappy bunch as much as they are just really coming into their own. They are just a straight up a good team.
They
I
are.
mean, this team can compete with anybody.
I mean, right now they're in the Joe Lenardi bracketology. They got them as the 7 seed, the 24 in the nation. Truly, I think they should be higher than a 7 seed. I really like this Florida team. I mean, they gave Alabama their all. I mean,
Yeah, and we'll get into the next matchup regarding that. Well, maybe not because that's Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. But this Florida team's hot. Missouri's most definitely not.
Missouri is not. I love Dennis Gate, man. Like, what did he say last week? He said something about like, "Yeah, man, we're dog shit. Like, we're not good." He basically said, "Hey, man, we suck. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with. Let's just get through the season."
Give me the Gators. Yeah, I think
Sp-
Florida's too hot in
Speaking
Missouri's
of
way.
bad press conferences, I, Rick Pitino, did you see what he
What did he
said?
say this time?
Well, no, it was last week. I don't know if
Oh
we ever
yeah,
talked about. Did we?
oh, well, we talked about it on our. For those that, if you didn't see our last episode, we had to re-record our last episode. We talked about it on the first take of our episode. We did not talk about it on the
he,
second one.
he said something on the lines of like, "This is the worst time I've ever had in my life," and I've had a lot of like, I got fired from Louisville for like being having strippers or something like that. He didn't say that, but like he basically insinuated that like this is the worst time he's ever had coaching ever, and like
And then they go out and dominate Creighton.
I guess that's a good and I want to talk about it again because I was talking. Who was, I don't even know. I was talking to someone at work today about Anthony Rendon, bad press conferences.
Mm.
Dude, you don't play for half of the year. I know I'm going off topic, but God, you just sound stupid. He said in the press conference, "I don't wish this life on nobody." So you're telling me it is a bad life when you're getting paid $38 million a year, but a single mother with 2 kids working 2 jobs to make ends meet, she has it easier than someone than you.
Like, okay, dude, go. I saw, and we are getting off topic a little bit, but I saw there's a popular, I think he's a Twitch streamer or something, named like Hassan or something. I don't know. And a clip came out of him like yesterday, and he's like a really popular streamer, and he was saying like, a real job doesn't drain you as much as like Twitch streaming or something like that. And everybody's like, have you worked a real job? Like, okay,
It's
quit. Like, quit and go
like
work in an oil field. Like,
it's like
you'll
that
go back to wanting to be a
it's
streamer.
like that TikToker, the coffee person that goes, "Here's why making a coffee is harder than your 9 to 5 job." Like, okay, dude, yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, let's
Everybody,
get
everybody wants to have a struggle. But yeah, I assume you also have Florida.
I have Florida. Yeah, Missouri's gonna get Molly. They're gonna get welcome to the swamp, bitch.
All right, tough game on the road for a team that we've continued to talk about, and we mentioned it earlier. Alabama's kind of in the same boat, but Auburn on the road to Tennessee. This is a big game
I think
for
Tennessee's
Auburn.
gonna boat race them, and it's not because I don't think this Auburn team's good enough. Playing at Tennessee, and they're up to number 4 now. Tennessee's kind of get a little bit of momentum behind them.
Hmm.
I think this is the best Tennessee team they've had since he's been at Tennessee with Rick Barnes, and that's including the Grant Williams, the Kennedy Chandlers. Give me Tennessee. I think they're gonna boat race them.
I agree. I think Auburn might come out looking pretty good. I feel like this is an Alabama Kentucky game.
I
This might come out Auburn's keeping kind of toe and toe with them, but Tennessee will just
But this
pull
could
away
be
from them
big
quick.
for Auburn. I mean, Auburn right now is a 4 seed in the tournament. If you get this quad one win over, and I want to say Tennessee's a 1 seed. No, Tennessee, they still have Tennessee as a 2 seed. But I definitely think this could help Auburn in their bracketology, like just go up. Because they still need that significant win. Obviously, the Alabama win was not significant enough, which I don't understand. I'm gonna be honest. Like even as an Alabama fan, I don't understand that.
Bruce Pearl needs that, to your point, that big top 10 win, and getting one against Tennessee on the road would really boost their projections for sure. But I've got Tennessee. Second to last game of the night, 7:30 SEC Network, South Carolina on the road to Texas A&M.
This is going to be a sneaky good game.
Yeah, I can imagine. This might be a trap game for South Carolina.
This is a huge game for Texas A&M. Texas A&M right now is the last four in. They are playing the play-in game right now in the bracket. Texas A&M is the team, and I've told you this. They're my team, kind of like how Bama was when they had Colin Sexton. They're not in the tournament by the time the SEC tournament starts. But if you give them a win or two in the SEC tournament, I think they could easily make their way into the tournament once they get hot. A&M, they can go beat Tennessee at home, and then they'll lose to LSU on the road. It's just this A&M team is very unreliable. But I'm gonna tell you, I trust them more than the Gamecocks. Give me A&M for my upset of the week. That is my upset of the
Hmm.
week.
All right. I like that actually. I really do. Um, I th- this South Carolina team has looked human at times. We've kind of mentioned it. They kind of seem to be getting the benefit of their record and their schedule, you know. It's when they've been put up against decent opponents, they have not done particularly well. So I'm gonna go with the upset as well. I think Texas A&M will come out hot and pull the upset,
I
if it
agree.
even is much of an upset. All right, and then our game of the night, Alabama on the road to Ole Miss.
You want to talk about a huge game for somebody, and that's Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the first four out, so they are out of the tournament right now. This will be a huge. This will be a huge win for Alabama if they can get. I mean, not for Alabama, but for Ole Miss if they can get this win. But I've I've been saying all year. You want to talk about somebody that's been a bit offended from their like the wins? Like they played nobody non-conference, got in the league
Mhm.
10-0. I think they're terrible. I don't think Ole Miss is that good. They're sitting right now with a flip back up. They're sitting right now with a 6-8 SEC record. They can't really beat nobody in the conference. I mean, so basically they've only won 6 games since they went started 10-0 after non-conference, which is terrible. Give me Alabama. I think we pull away and beat. That's our good road. That's one of our good road wins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Alabama as well. I think that they'll come off, with a good, be in a good headspace after getting mollywopped by Kentucky. Alabama typically responds well after getting beat. So I've got Alabama as well. This would be a good road win, and it's very necessary going into the weekend game versus Tennessee, which we'll get into
What's
here
a
in
what's
a
a bigger
moment.
game? Does Tennessee at Alabama or Auburn at Tennessee? Because I kind of think this Auburn at Tennessee, to be honest.
Ah, that's a tough question. Like bigger for Tennessee or bigger for Alabama or Auburn?
I'm just saying, what do you think is going to be a better game?
Oh, better game. I think Tennessee at Alabama will be a better game than Auburn at Tennessee. I feel like Tennessee, if Alabama was to lose to Tennessee, it will be much closer than what Tennessee I think will probably do to Auburn
Okay, okay.
in Knoxville. Saturday,
Start
11 a.m.
start off with a top 25 game. Yeah, top.
Yeah, South Carolina hosting the Gators.
You
This
don't
is a
see
good game.
you don't see that a lot at 11 o'clock. You don't see a
I
lot of
know.
top 25 games. Florida at South Carolina. This will be huge for either team. But unfortunately, I'm going with the upset again. I think South Carolina goes 0-2 this week. Give me the Florida Gators at South Carolina. Give me Florida.
I think I'm actually thi- so I'm looking on ESPN right now, and this game has a slight edge. ESPN has a very, very slight edge to Florida. So basically a toss-up pick 'em almost. I'm gonna go with South Carolina. I think because I'm picking South Carolina to lose on the road to Texas A&M, and I think that they'll respond well going back home against a top 25 team in Florida. So give me South Carolina, but if South Carolina was to beat Texas A&M on Wednesday, then that probably changes things for you.
Changes. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I like that.
12:30 game, Kentucky and Arkansas.
I don't even really want to talk about it. Give me Kentucky. I think they. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
that's gonna. I can only imagine. Yeah, Kentucky's been very, very good
This game and the next
so
game
far.
was gonna like two games that I'm pretty sure like if you're not a fan of these teams, you're not watching.
Yeah, LSU Vandy. Don't think the ratings are going to be very high on that one. Give me LSU. Wow, good road win in
Yeah,
Nashville. But 3 o'clock on Saturday, Mississippi State on the road to Auburn. Neville Arena's too tough of a place to play. Give me Auburn.
I agree. Give me Auburn. Let me ask you a question. What's more boring to watch? SEC college football game that's meaningless, or an SEC college basketball game that's meaningless?
God.
It's like watching two 4-7 teams. Like let's say for instance, you watching Arkansas versus Auburn this year in football.
I would have to say
I would
basketball is more boring to watch because I probably would at least turn the football game on for a second, see, just flip through it, say, "Oh,
yeah.
Arkansas is playing Mississippi State. Cool." That doesn't mean anything. And then Arkansas playing Mississippi State or something similar in basketball, not even gonna watch it. Not even gonna turn it on whatsoever.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. This
15-12 versus 15-12.
I think this is going to be a huge game, really for A&M, not really Georgia. I think they're out of the tournament. Give me A&M. I think they get the. I think they get the win on the road. I think A&M goes that 2-0 this week.
I'm right there with you as well. It would be considered an upset probably because it would just be on the road to Georgia. Georgia is favored again. This is per ESPN. Favored 52.3% win percentage or win margin, whatever you might want to call it. Also, a game many people probably aren't going to pay much attention to outside of those two fan bases.
Yeah.
And then Ole Miss and Missouri. Give me Ole
Ole
Miss.
Miss. I think they bounce.
Missouri is just, oh my goodness. And then game of the weekend,
Game
college
day.
game
Game day.
day.
Yes.
College game day. When was the last time college game day was at Alabama? Was it
It's
for?
never.
They've never been.
This is the first time.
Really, I thought maybe I'm thinking of the Iron Bowl of basketball last year
Well, it was at
at
Aub yeah,
Auburn.
but say it's never been at Alabama. We've been featured when it's most likely been the Iron Bowl, but, like, we've never been the home team.
Well, let me ask you, what is your opinions? Do you watch college game day for basketball? I do not. I think I maybe watched one or two.
I think I watched it the only time I've watched it this year was at Auburn, and I probably will watch it again this Saturday because it's at Alabama, but I
It's
don't think
just not the same to
well,
me.
they're not consistent with it. They don't do it every week, so,
No, it's nowhere near as popular as,
I'm
of
being
course,
100%
the
honest.
college game
I
day.
don't remember like, besides Auburn this year, I cannot tell you another location they were at.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Well, they don't broadcast it like they do college football, in my
No,
opinion.
it's a lot shorter. It's usually only what, like an hour and a half or something like that,
But
an hour
they
maybe.
don't even market it. Like,
No,
college football,
no.
you know who the guest picker is gonna be Monday. Like, you don't
Well, and it's a whole event for college game day for college football. I mean, and we've talked about this before.
have it
You have to
outside.
put it you need to have it outside. I know the weather is a lot different in the winter and the early spring compared to fall, but like, put it outside in front of the arena. Have all the fans out there. It would feel more like college game day
No,
instead
I
of
agree.
what it really is just a
The
wannabe
student
college game
section,
day.
that's all it is.
Yes, that's all it is. The students just pack out, camp out, because it's college game day. They might be able to be on TV, whatever. But this game is huge for both Alabama and Tennessee. Um, for is as you talked about it just a moment ago, possible just straight up battle for first place for the regular season. Um,
I'm gonna have to go Tennessee.
I'm.
I don't wanna
It's
talk
so
about it.
tough. Alabama is favored by a good bit due to home court. You know what? I'm going to go with Alabama on this. Not to be a homer, but I think Alabama. Look, Pullman Coliseum is a very, very tough to place to play. Very underrated. It may not get as loud as Neville Arena or some of the other places, but Alabama plays its best ball at home. And I think that there might be a bit of a revenge factor from the absolute routing that Tennessee gave Alabama earlier in the season. Give me Alabama. Why not?
I would go Alabama. I might have to give you an update after Wednesday. I need to see how they bounce back defensive wise because right now nobody's stopping Dalton Connect. Nobody's
No,
going to stop
absolutely
him at
not.
all. I mean, you got to put Reitzel or Griffin on him, but I mean, I don't think Griffin can contain him. I think only Reitzel can. But let's see if they can bounce back against Ole Miss. If they can, I think they're done. I think this team will collapse just like 2022, not last year, but the year before when they won. You remember that team with JD Davison and all them?
Of course. Of
That
course.
the team that choked. So I
Well,
definitely
I mean, look, Nate Oates needs to have a deep run in the tournament to really be considered like one of the top coaches in basketball, which I do think he is, but he just has not performed well in the NCAA tournament. Um,
I mean, and people ain't gonna agree with me when I say this. I think Nate Oates has a better resume than and I'm not saying this because I'm a Bama fan. I think both Nate Oates and Musselman have a better resume than Bruce Pearl. Yes, Bruce Pearl's been to a Final Four, but you take away the Final Four, he has not made it past the round of 32.
hmm
I mean,
Yeah.
Musselman. I mean, let me pull it up. I know Nate Oates at least. Nate Oates, he has been to the Sweet 16 twice, been to the tournament 3 times. I mean, and he's only been there 5 years and taken them to the Sweet 16 twice. But Musselman at Arkansas, I mean, in my opinion, he went to the Elite Eight in his second year, Elite Eight in his third year, Sweet 16 in his fourth year. And then in this first year, COVID season, he was 20-11. That was going into the SEC tournament.
I'm not in disagreement with you that I think Nate Oates is most certainly a better coach and has a better resume overall than say a Bruce Pearl. But I mean, if we really want to put him up there with the Caliparis and some of the other guys
Oh
that
yeah, he's
you know
not there. He's not
he's not
there.
there yet.
I think he's
He could be
definitely.
though.
I is either. I probably going to put Musselman too. Just resume wise, I'd probably put either Musselman or to be honest, Rick Barnes for Tennessee. Because when you got remember when he was at Texas, I mean, let me tell you, Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes, man, he went a couple of times to the Final Four. I want to say he went one time with Kevin Durant. I may be wrong, but let me pull it up. Yeah, I mean, Rick Barnes, he never did not. He never missed the tournament. He only missed it 1 year, but he went to the Elite Eight 2 times. He went to the Final Four 1 time, and then at Tennessee, he's been to the Sweet 16 2 times. He's only missed it 3 times at Tennessee, the tournament.
So let me ask you this because I saw a few people talking about this on Friday. Within the past 4 or 5 years, whatever, the top teams in the SEC, the top programs really have been Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, maybe Kentucky, even though they've had some down years. Uh, but what is the next team to make that leap, to go up there with the Alabamas or the Auburns or replace one of those teams? I'm going to say do not be shocked if Todd Golden and the Gators. I know we're really high on Florida, but I like the
I
way
like
he coaches. I like the way his players play. He's built something really well in year two. I think Todd Golden might be if Florida's up there with Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn within the next couple years, which he's well on his way, it would not shock me.
I like him, and I'll tell you another. I'll tell you another one. If he stays, Lamont Paris at South Carolina. If
I
he
think,
stays. If he don't go to Ohio State, which I kinda think he's gonna go to Ohio State, they'll be up there. But I'm gonna tell you another one. I mean, do you think Texas and Oklahoma, when they join next year, do you think they join them up there? Oklahoma has a pretty good basketball program.
yeah, they do. And they just had a great comeback win against Oklahoma State. I saw. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Out of those two, I would probably say Oklahoma is more likely within the short term, but I really don't know. I'd have to see how well they play against the rest of the SEC competition.
So
We're
Oklahoma,
so when it comes to that SEC realignment and adding Oklahoma and Texas, our brains are so wired to think to go straight to football. But we're forgetting they're going to be playing basketball and
Ronnie
baseball and all
Ronnie
them too.
Terry's a good coach at Texas.
Hmm.
Oklahoma, they got what's his name? Porter Moses. Yeah, Porter Moser. You
Hmm.
remember head coach of Loyola Chicago, and he became Oklahoma's head
Yes,
coach.
yes,
But no,
yes.
I agree. So yeah, man, we got a good week of college basketball coming up.
All right, so yeah, that kind of concludes our college basketball discussion. Now, as we talked about at the very beginning of the episode, this is such a slow week in sports, so there's really not much going on. We promise we're going to start talking a lot about Major League Baseball. Look, between me and John Rivers, uh, I mean, baseball pretty much is our top sport, I would say, that we pay the most attention
Man, we
to.
know the
It
most.
doesn't
Yeah.
really seem that way because of how little we've talked about it. But as the season goes on, we're going to be talking a lot about baseball.
And as soon as we
But
started our heads up play, it was kind of towards the end of baseball.
yeah, I mean, it was middle of playoffs basically. So
And
yeah,
we
if you want
can't
to go back
make
and watch us rant about the Braves, go watch episodes
and
one
we
through like five.
and we can't make a video because God knows. I mean, yes, Cody Bellinger signed to the Cubs, which is a good deal for the Cubs considering they didn't have to pay 12 years, $300 million like they originally thought they were going to have to. But we still got Jordan Montgomery. You still got Matt Chapman. You still have three of the Scott Boras four left. So until really they sign, or at least two of them sign, and one of them is left, then we can maybe make a.
Well,
I'm
and it,
hearing
it
Jordan Montgomery is going to be the next one. I've been reading that he's going
I've
to
been
be.
hearing Red Sox.
That's what I've been seeing. Yeah, I heard Red Sox. Apparently, he had a Zoom meeting today that went really good.
Well, let me ask you before we kind of get into our next topic to talk just a second about baseball. It's kind of pissing me off a little bit with these players still not being signed because anytime because at this point in the year, I want to listen to baseball stuff. I want to watch baseball podcasts or, stuff like that. I got MLB Network on right now. MLB Tonight just finished up. Majority of their conversation was about where those guys going to sign. Instead of talking about, speculation for who's going to win each division, talking
Nobody
about
can
every
do that
team,
yet. I mean,
it's
because
all
they're it's the Scott Boras players. I mean, if you're with Scott Boras, you just don't care about winning. I'm being 100% honest
Oh, it's
about
all
that.
money. It's
It's
all
all
money.
money.
Absolutely. Um, and we've given our predictions for where we think some of those guys are going to sign. Bellinger just recently signed to the Cubs. It was kind of his what a lot of people call like a pillow contract. Like I can't go anywhere else,
It's
so
a
I guess
is
we'll
it?
just go
Tell
with.
me I'm wrong, but does he not have a 2 year? I mean, after this year, he has an opt out after every year.
I do believe there's something like that. But I mean, if you're one of these clients, if you're one of these Boris clients, like a Blake Snell, like a Jordan Montgomery, like a Matt Chapman, are you not sitting here now a few days into spring ball saying, what are we doing? I mean, if I
I
was
mean,
like, because you want to be getting, if you're going to go to a new team, you want to be learning the players, making some friends,
especially
building
if you're a pitcher, because
relationships.
I mean, you got to get that arm
Yes.
warm. You got to get it going,
You
man.
got to build a relationship with your catcher. You got to get your arm going. And we know that they're doing workouts and stuff on their own, but like time is a ticking. So I would be kind of pissed if I was a Blake Snell or a Matt Chapman or whatever. But we'll continue to talk about MLB for sure. But since it's a slow week, we thought, why don't we just talk about the 2010s, right? That's kind of where most of our sports memory is 2010 to 2019.
Yeah,
Give our top 10 sports moments overall within that decade. Not necessarily like what our favorites is, because my favorite is are going to be taken up with Braves and Alabama stuff, but just what we think maybe the most impressive, the most just the greatest overall. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't include anything regarding soccer or hockey or MMA or anything like that. So
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So If you're wondering when we have Alexander Ovechkin lifting the trophy for the Washington Senators,
I've got him
G
11.
GTFO. I'm sorry. Like LMFAO, they were big in the 2000 guys. Remember the funny guys? Every day I'm
Shuffling.
now they're sniffing paint from a free pass. I don't know. I don't
Hey,
know.
give me that expo marker. All
Well,
right.
uh,
Start
let's
off with your number 10.
I do want to give an honorable mention because I was at this event, and I will say it was probably the most wild thing I've ever seen. The Ronald Acuna Grand Slam
So
against the
that's one that lives well in your mind. I think that's actually pretty low on like MLB charts because I mean, like the David Freese. I actually tweeted that the other day, like the David Freese
Freeze.
walk off home run in Game 6 against
That
in
one to
2011.
to me though has I mean, it's the first time we've made the playoffs since like 2013, 2012, and me and my dad went, and we was literally 2 rows. Like we saw, the home run ball was maybe a few feet in front of me. Like I'm on the TV. Like I can point out where I'm at on the TV, me and my dad watching the game. And I'll never forget. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, that was a ball. Like, how did you call a strike on that?" Because he basically stepped out of the plate and they called a strike. Walker Bueller was at bat. Because we just had Sean Newcomb. I don't know if most people remember, you had Sean Newcomb batted in that 9 hole. It was even before DHs. Sean Newcomb batted at the 9 hole. They walked Sean Newcomb, made it bases loaded, and Acuna goes up there and just smacks the hell out of the
Well,
ball.
remember he takes ball one. Remember, well, really, what would have been ball four,
Or he took
and
it,
it would have walked the
but
runner in,
it was a
uh,
strike. Yeah,
and he basically kind of stepped out of
out
the
of the plate.
box,
That's yeah, stepped out of the
and
box.
and they called it a strike, and he was like, okay, and he goes in there and mollywops a
Oh
grand
my
slam.
god. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I've been to Turner Field with you and J Dub when they walked off against the Dodgers in game one of the NLCS. It was not as loud as that Ronald Acuna Grand Slam. Oh my god. That was
All
probably
right,
the but that's my honorable mention. But my number 10, let me get into my number 10, and I just spoke about him because he's the head coach at Oklahoma. The Final Four Cinderella run with I might be saying it wrong.
Loyola,
Loyola. I'm not even gonna say it.
Loyola, was it
Chicago.
Loyola Chicago or
Yes.
Marymount? It was
No,
Chicago.
Chicago, because you had a sister Jean. That that to
What
me is probably even better than St. Peter's. That's probably the best Final Four. Like
what year was that? Like 2014,
that was that was
14, 15,
I want to say that was later.
later?
Might have been like 2016.
Well, why you look it up? My number 10
It
is
was
not
20 it was
just
2018. 2018. I apologize.
really,
Yeah,
really.
it was later. I remember it was a little bit later. I was in high school.
So my number 10, and that was incredible. I mean, because I mean, you're gonna have a Cinderella just about every year in college basketball within the tournament, whether it be like a St. Peter's or whatever. But rarely do they go that far.
When they go to the final, like the Elite 8 is
Yeah.
when it gets really special.
My number 10 is not so much a one-time moment as it is kind of like through the whole season. I have Linsanity
Oh, that
at
was
number
wild.
10.
That
I
was a
mean,
good time.
like even if you aren't an NBA fan, which I'm not a major NBA fan, I do keep up with it to a degree. But I mean, even people who have no clue about the NBA knew about Linsanity and the kind of numbers he was putting up. I mean, it was just insane. And he had the documentary come out a little while later, and it ended in a bad way. Did he not like tear his meniscus or something like that
Something
to
like
kind of
that,
end it?
yeah.
Now I believe Jeremy Lin is playing in like Taiwan or something like that.
But hey, he got that world champ. He's a world champ. He won it
Yeah,
with the Raptors.
yes, he did. He sure did. So yeah, Jeremy Lin and Linsanity,
I like
I
that.
got it. My number 10. What's your number 9?
My number 9, I'm gonna go with the 2012 Rio Olympics. Michael Phelps winning. He become the single athlete to win the most gold of all time in Rio. Michael Phelps. When I think of Olympics, I think of Michael Phelps. I don't think no one else. I don't think, what's his name, Bruce Jenner. I don't
I think of
think
Ryan Lochte. Just kidding.
I think of LeBron James, but,
Team America,
I
the
definitely,
NBA.
think Michael Phelps is probably the gr do you th I mean, I'm not trying to get into politics, but Bruce Jenner was, like, the Olympics. Like,
Oh, he was an insane athlete.
who do you think was more popular, Michael Phelps or Bruce Jenner? I mean, Bruce
Oh, Michael
Jenner,
Phelps.
you think so?
Yeah, I mean, I know Bruce Jenner was wildly popular, like, back in the '80s or whatever it was, but I also really don't know because I
I
didn't
don't either,
live back
yeah.
then,
Give me
but, I
Michael
mean
Phelps too, I agree.
I mean, just with the amount of medals Michael Phelps I mean, he has dominated every single race he was ever in. So, my number 9, I'm going back to the NBA, and I have never, to this point, still paid as much attention to an NBA Finals as I did the 2013 NBA Finals.
Oh, yeah. That one's
When
good.
Ray Allen hits that 3-point near the end of that, I want to say it was game
Game
6.
6.
He hits a 3-point against the Spurs. I still don't know if I've seen a crowd go as wild as they went after he hit that 3-point shot. Um,
I remember why I mean, I was on
like
vacation and I
I was
mean,
on vacation.
it's one
That's why I remember it so specifically.
it's
I
literally
was at the
one
beach.
I was at the beach. I was in Gulf Shores. What about you?
I was in Panama City at the
Damn it.
Sandpiper Beach Club or something. I
I
think that
think
was the last time I went to Panama City.
I was at the turquoise and,
The
and
what?
the
Oh, the
turquoise.
turquoise. Damn, you
Yeah.
got some money. Dang, you're
No.
spending money on the beach
No,
trip.
I was visiting a friend. I was no, no, you shucks. You make me blush. No.
So yeah, I got Ray Allen. When that 2013 Miami Heat team was so much fun to watch.
I'm telling you, man, I think the 2010s have some of the greatest NBA finals. Like, I mean, we'll get into I'm sure there is one in particular on your list, but that whole 2010 to 2019, starting with the Mavericks beating the Heat and then finished with the Raptors beating the Warriors, they probably that to me there that is some of the greatest NBA final games. But my number 8, let's move to number 8 is the shot heard around the world. The Villanova Wildcats hitting that to me is the coolest thing. Literally sets the pick, goes around, pops it to Ryan, no, Chris Jenkins, and literally as soon as the bucket hits, I mean, it ain't even through the net yet. You hear the cannons, boom, boom. I mean, I loved it.
You there are few moments in any sport that are as like crazy and that just leave you shook than a buzzer beater,
And it,
especially in a moment like that for the national championship.
And if you remember, they were playing out in North Carolina. Before they hit that shot, North Carolina just hit it like almost like hit.
Hmm.
They just hit a three, or not a three, but like a two, with like a second to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I want to talk a little bit more about that because I have that actually a little bit in my list a little bit later. Um, my number 8, 2019, Tiger Woods winning the Masters, coming back. I forgot how long he was gone, like out
Wait,
of
it
golf for.
wasn't that he wasn't even. He was just old. His
Yeah, I
kind
mean, he
of.
was kind of like he was out of his prime basically. He was still playing, but like he was nowhere good when he did come back from the situation. He was nowhere near as good as when prior, and then he goes on just an amazing run to win the Masters. What's your thought on the Masters? Are you look? Neither you or I are big golf fans. I could get into golf. I'm just not a big like one person sport kind of guy. I'm like that's why I'm not into like boxing, UFC, golf.
So I'll get into it. That is my number 7. Actually, the Tiger Woods is mine. Let me double
Okay.
check. But that is my number 7. I don't really watch the Masters until Sunday when they choose a winner, but I did watch the full after the first day when they said Tiger Woods is winning. I was like, okay, I think I gotta watch this. Like this is gonna be special. And I remember, I mean, I was in my room and my room was the basement, and I was visiting family or something like that, and I watched the Masters, and oh my god, that was just. I mean, I remember when I mean, you just stood. Everybody was standing up watching it. I mean, there was after the game, his son comes up and hugs him and all that. I mean, it truly was, in my opinion, it's the greatest memory of like golf. In my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with that. All right. My number 7, Malcolm Butler.
Oh, that's low. I like
I do have it
that.
low. I do have it low. I mean, I have it low because like the ones that I have above it, I just think are like more. I don't want to say better, but maybe a little bit more iconic. Except for the one that I have in front of now, thinking my number 6 probably could go back a little bit. But I have Malcolm Butler with a intercepting the pass to win the Super Bowl for the Patriots. I forgot what Super Bowl that was, like what Super Bowl number, like what
Yeah.
year. But I mean, that was just like insane watching that in the moment.
No, that was a good one. Yeah, from West Alabama. My so no, I like that one a lot. Actually, I'm about to talk about it. My six NBA. I'm gonna go with the greatest comeback of all time. You had the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. They set the record, or what were there? It was either 74-8 or 73-9. But the comeback by LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was probably my most favorite NBA finals to watch.
Yeah, that was that was a lot of fun. I mean, when he went back to Cleveland and brought them that championship, yeah,
I mean, it
that
goes
was
back, and probably the best thing ever was when Andre Iguodala's going for the layup, and oh my god, LeBron James from behind just smacks it across the glass, and then gives it to Kyrie over Steph Curry for the three. I'm telling you, the 3-1 comeback for the Cavs over the Golden State Warriors after when it's supposed to be their three-peat, having the best record of all time since the '96 Bulls. Give me that one at number 6.
my number 6. And again, I could have put this higher, and by higher I mean like number 7, 8, 9. And there's one I bet you didn't think about, um, because I actually kind of put it in here, forgetting that it was not the 2010s. So now I'm embarrassed because I forgot that this was in 2023 that this happened. So, um, let me take that back. So I don't have a number 6. I'll just I don't have a number 9. So I'll go with my number 5 now. Actually, you give your number 5, and then I'll give
My
my number 5.
These are tough for me. When I say really from 6 on, they were tough for me. Any of them could be number 1, but now my number 5 is the 2nd and 26. Alabama versus Georgia in 2018. Was it 2018
The year was 2018. It was for the
or
2017
2017?
season.
That game, Jalen Hurts was struggling all game. So you know what? Saban, the GOAT, he makes the controversial call. He said, "We're gonna put in the true freshman. We're gonna put in Tua." Tua goes in there and comes back with 2nd and 26. They just got sacked in the backfield. He launches it downfield to a skinny freshman named Devontae Smith. Touchdown, game win. Alabama's going to win the football game. Alabama's going to win the football game. That was probably it was one of those. It happened so fast. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. I Where were you at that moment?
I
Do
was
you
at
remember where
home.
you were?
I was in my hometown in the living room with my parents in Jasper, Alabama.
So you at least had some people to celebrate with. I was in the wonderful dormitory that is Stokes Hall at the University of South Alabama, which is a Jack and Jill style dormitory,
Old
which means you
Stokes.
have a room by yourself. So I was there alone watching that game, and I kind of turned the lights off because I thought we were going to lose the game, and I'm just kind of sitting in there. Tua hits that, and I'm going crazy in this dorm room by myself.
My,
Um,
my bad experience with Stokes was in 2019 when the Braves got beat by the Cardinals. You wanna talk
got
about sitting in the room and
destroyed. We might have another episode with our top 10 worst sporting moments. Maybe that'll be next week or something.
that'll be number 1 still.
Yeah. All right. So my number 5 is Villanova hitting the buzzer beater 2016 to win the national championship. I mean, like, because they were an 8 seed, were they not? Um,
Let me look. Keep talking, I'll give you an answer.
so I mean, like that moment in time, and I talked about it a moment ago when you had yours, uh, just like any buzzer beater is insane. I remember specifically the buzzer beater that I remember most as an Alabama basketball fan was in like 20, I'm gonna say 2013.
When they
Alabama's
beat
playing
Georgia.
Georgia, and Trevor Relaford hits a half court buzzer beater, and that was the craziest buzzer beater I've ever
I
seen
mean,
as an Alabama
you wanna
fan.
talk about a heave.
I just lobbed it up. It was just chucked it. But I mean, like a buzzer beater to win the national championship. There's been some great buzzer beaters in the SEC tournament. I think of Florida's buzzer beater in the Sweet 16 against Wisconsin, and some other great ones. But that one's got to be like the best of all
Villanova
time.
was they played 8 seed Michigan, but
They play now. They had
they
they were
were
an 8 seed when they won a national championship at one point.
it might have
Because
been the
remember,
year it might have been because if you remember they won it 2 years after, but they was a 1
yeah.
seed in this one. My bad, Michigan was a 3 seed, Villanova was a 1 seed.
Okay. All right. Your number 4.
Number 4 is the Patriots Malcolm Butler interception. To me, that that is yes, my number 3 is gonna contradict, but play-wise, that might be the greatest play of all time in the Super Bowl. Malcolm Butler coming out of nowhere to save the game where they on the 1-yard line. Why would you pass the ball and not give it to Marshawn Lynch, who's been running all game, and he's known for being tough. He can get 1 yard. I don't know, but still, if you're a Patriots fan, you know, I mean, I was just pulling for the Seahawks because I thought, man, they're gonna go back to back. That'd be pretty cool to watch. I mean, like, come on, Legion of Boom. I was like, I remember I was like 14, 15. I was like, I just sat there with my mouth open. I was like, I cannot believe that they passed the ball on the 1 yard line.
Word on the street is now, and I heard it on the radio. I think I heard it on Colin Cowherd today. Don't be shocked if Russell Wilson goes to the Steelers.
I've heard Steelers or the Falcons. God no.
Interesting. All right. My number, what are we on? Number 4?
Or
All right. And you're going to hate this. I don't know if you have this in your top 10 or not. My number 4 is the Brady game. Patriots coming back against the
this
Falcons.
is my number 3. This is my
This is your
number
number
3.
3.
This is my number 3.
All right, so we'll kind of go off of each other here. Where were you at during this game? I was at my freshman dorm room, actually with my freshman girlfriend in college, watching this game. I was pulling hard for the Falcons, of course, and I mean, it was just utter domination in the first half. Julio Jones was going off, Matt Ryan was going off, and then here comes that second half. Patriots were inevitable, man.
I was a senior in high school and it was actually my birthday. So, because I always had my birthday around the Super Bowl. If it wasn't my birthday, I had people come over to kind of like celebrate my birthday. And it was like me, Cade, shout out Dakota, a couple of my friends from high school. And we was all there and we was all, of course, pulling for the Falcons. And that's kind of, I will say, I did become a Falcons fan that season, which is fine. I know people say, well, you're a bandwagon. Well, I was a fan this past season. So I promise you, I've stuck with the bad times. But yeah, I was still in absolute shock when Julian Edelman, he catches the ball. It hits, I wanna say Alfred's calf and, like, pops up in the air, and he still catches it. That was pretty tough to watch, but, I mean, it's still I mean, they just cemented Tom Brady's legacy. That was his Michael Jordan comeback. That was his LeBron James 3-1 comeback, like, that was crazy.
All right, so that is your number three.
Yep,
All right, my number three was your number four or five, and that is second and 26. In
yep.
my opinion, the greatest moment in Alabama football history,
No, I 100% I agree, yeah,
the greatest moment in college football history, aside from the one that I have above it. Um,
yeah.
unfortunately, um, as I mentioned, that moment in time, Tua Tagovailoa coming into that game, he really did not actually play very well when he first came into the game. He obviously was throwing it better than Jalen Hurts, but for a minute I was like,
People kinda
can
forget
anybody throw the ball?
people kinda forget that if it wasn't for Calvin Ridley for making insane
Mhm.
catches.
Yeah, and people forget that play would not have happened if he did not take a massive sack
Oh, yeah.
on first down to make it 26 yards to go. Um, and then overtime in general would not have happened if the one and only Andy Papanastos had just made a chip shot field goal. And no,
I
he
hated
misses it, but it led to
I'm so gonna
the
miss
play that we have.
I'm so gonna miss Will Reichert, it's gonna be tough. I'm not ready for a new kicker. I'm not ready.
I can't. All right, you're number two.
I have a feeling our top 2 is gonna be very similar.
Okay.
I think my number 2 is the Chicago Cubs winning it all.
I think our top two is the exact same.
I think
My
there's
number
ex
two is the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series in 2016. This was because not only was this like historic because it had been over a century, right?
Yeah.
But they also made such a miraculous comeback over the Cleveland Indians. I mean, and there were some great moments from the Indians. You remember? I mean, that I was actually pulling for the Indians. I
I
know
was too. I was
most people are
too.
pulling for the
I've
Cubs.
truth be told, I've always liked the Indians. Like, I've always looked at them. If I had to pick an AL team, I don't know why. I just like the colors. I've always liked the colors of Cleveland.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't really like the Guardians now, but I liked the Indians. Great team with Lindor back being on that team and stuff. Um,
I remember Rajay Davis
Rajay
was
Davis hitting that
he was
big home run.
yes.
Um, so I remember like I forgot who they were playing the Indians in that postseason. I want to say it was like in the NLCS or DS, and Francisco Lindor hits a massive home run. I can't remember if it was a grand slam or not. And he hits a massive powering home run to like high,
It
deep
was the
right
Blue
field.
Jays, Blue
It was the Blue
Jays.
Jays, and Matt Vasgersian, who is just incredible, goes, and it was like I watched that the other day on TikTok. Um, so yeah,
I
I've got that
I
game. I mean,
despise the Cubs. I'm gonna be 100. I think you know
in
this.
general, yes, you do not like the Cubs. What do you have against the Cubs?
I view the Cubs as like the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox. Like, people are fans of the Cubs without ever knowing what the Cubs about, especially after 2016. A lot of Cubs fans came out like, "Yeah, man, I love the Cubs." You haven't been to Chicago, never been north of Tennessee, but you know what I'm saying?
It was a big thing after that season because look, that those were some of the highest rated postseason games for MLB in a long time, and it was because of the Cubs
Oh, yeah,
being there. And so it got a lot of new faces into the sport, and a lot of people were just like, "Okay, I'll just go for the Cubs because they haven't won it, right?
in
So I'm gonna go for the
108
underdog."
years, yeah.
And now there's this whole subsect of, I guess you call them bandwagon Cubs fans who, like you said, have never been to Wrigley Field, never been to Chicago, whatever. Now, the Cubs, I won't go so deep to be like, if you're a Cubs fan that grew up in like Utah, right? And you were a Cubs fan prior to that World Series, I'll be like, okay, that's fine because the Cubs were also like the Braves in that they, in like the 90s and 80s, they were one of the only two teams that were on every single night. So just like the Braves,
Yeah.
people just became fans because they were on
I don't
TV.
know, dude. I'm such a big believer in you need to be if you did not grow up around them. Like it's like me saying, yeah, I love the Toronto Blue Jays.
No, I agree. I agree. I'm with you on that. All right. Number
Yeah,
one,
we don't want to talk about it, but
we don't want to talk about it too much, but we have to.
the
Number
kick
one,
six, the
we've
kick
talked about it
six.
before. The greatest play, I mean, ever. The kick six, Chris Davis.
Auburn's gonna win the football game.
I mean, it is iconic. Is it overplayed?
No,
Yes.
no, they no, like
No,
it truly is that great. It really is. Like I hate it, but it really is that great.
they really I mean, they can make a whole like documentary on that one play. I mean, it really is just incredible. It was an incredible moment. I went wild in that moment in anger because
Not
you know
even
I'm an
that.
Auburn
What
fan.
after? I mean, when it happened, I don't know. I mean, I was also on a beach vacation because we always was around Thanksgiving. Growing up, we went to Thanksgiving down at the beach with my family, and I'll never forget. I was sitting in the spare bedroom, and I just sat there like I walked in the living room to my parents, and I was like, "Did that really just happen?"
I was angry. I was very
I was
very
like,
angry. I was screaming mad. I was that kid. I was like because we were on the verge of a three-peat. We
"That's
were on
what."
a three-peat.
Yes, repeat. Yes.
I mean, we would have beat the crap out of Florida State in that national championship. So that's besides the point. But yeah, that's my number one. That's your number one. So I mean, we're going over an hour here, but I do want to mention something before we end the episode. Have we talked about these MLB uniforms?
We have.
We have. Okay.
They're
All right.
bad. Well, we haven't talked about the pants.
We have
We
not
got to
talked
talk
about the
about
pants.
we got to talk about the pants on how you can see their player's nutsack.
Yeah.
There was a picture going
Something's
around
got
on
to
the internet.
change.
The Giants. Was it the Giants players or Mariners? Well,
Mariners.
somebody took a photo, and I mean, all you see is straight nuts. Like there's nothing else about it. Like literally just two balls. Like I don't know how else. And like if you look at the team photos, you are able to see at the top of the pants, like the outline of the bottom of the jersey where it's tucked in.
Yeah. It looks really bad. Now it's not so bad. I haven't seen any of like the away pants, like the more gray, darker ones. But the white pants, like, dude, something's got to
You see
change.
straight through them.
Like, you
You
can see
see,
the underwear and everything. Like, I, I tell you what's going to cause change is when on live TV, someone's standing on second base and you can just straight up see their nuts on TV, and then ESPN or Fox or whoever's going to be like, we can't do this anymore.
it's like Janet Jackson 2.0,
Yes,
but with
yes.
nuts. But
I mean, I understand that like they're going to a more like breathable thing, whatever. If the players hate it, what does it matter?
well, I didn't realize they meant breathable for like their sack.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't realize. But
whatever. All right, guys, I think that does it. Episode
Well,
25,
25. You know, guys, it's been a great road, man. Like, it's kind of crazy to think we're a quarter away to
quarter to
100,
100.
and we're growing up in subscribers. We're about to hit, guys, 300 on Instagram, and I do want to kind of give a brief summary. Thank y'all very much for following us on all of our social media, giving us the likes, the views, the shout outs. We really appreciate it. Some of you guys have been, I mean, really, all of you guys have been amazing. Both me and Sweaty Boy, we really appreciate the love, guys. We would not do this without y'all. We love our fans. And guys, like, thank y'all very much for just making two boys' dream come true.
Thank you, everybody. I mean, it's been a wild ride that's not anywhere close to being over.
No, no.
We said it like episode 1, 2, 3, we're a little seed. Now we've got some leaves coming out by
Until
growing room.
I'm not happy until Barstool Sports buys this podcast.
You hear that, big cat? You hear that, Dave?
I want Jersey Jerry. It's a catastrophe. That boy bent. That boy bent.
All right, everybody. Heads up play.
Out.
We out.